Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. Yeah, we welcome you to today's World Mental Health Capacity Global Summit 2025, held in commemoration of World Mental Health Day. As you all know, today is celebrated all around the world as the World Mental Health Day. So this year's theme, Breaking the Silence, is more than just a slogan. It's indeed a lifeline. So around the world, millions and thousands of people are smiling on the outside, but screaming on the inside. A lot is happening around the world. And the silence is deafening right now. But today we gathered here today, I'm not just the only one here, not as professionals alone, but as people who have gone through tough times, who have been able to maneuver challenges and all that life continues to throw at each and every one of us. So to me, I want to say to everyone also that to say it's okay to speak up. It's a good thing that you speak up. It's also okay to be human, and it's also okay to ask for help whenever there is need for help. So in a nutshell, I want to say that we are here to build capacity, emotional capacity, social capacity, and mental capacity, spiritual capacity, and psychological capacity. So because silence has never healed anyone, and that is the truth. So you see, I once told my friend one of these days while we're having conversation, I said, stop bottling up your emotions. And I know that this is one thing that you also like to say to anyone that is around you right now. And for whoever that is watching right now, please kindly share so that every other person can be part of today's World Mental Health Day, which we are celebrating today as a time where we collectively come together with our best practices and grand strategies to share tips on how we've been able to maneuver. So today I'm going to have a lot of world leaders and who are mental health advocates and mental health survivors and all of that. They are really doing well in their different spheres of influence. So please sit back and please do share this with other people around you on social media as well. Please do share this. We are streaming live on YouTube. We are streaming live on Twitter. We are streaming live on Facebook and also on Instagram as well. So I want to say this, like, stop bottling up your emotions. You can also drop this in the comment section. Stop bottling up your emotions, because when you keep shaking the bottle, just like champagne, eventually it will pop. So that is what happens when we suppress pain, emotions, anger, hurt, and trauma, fear. They build pressure until something inside breaks. So it is imperative that whatsoever thing that you try as much as possible to bottle up within you, one day, if you fail to speak out, is going to break from the inside. So the story of Elijah in the Bible still speak powerfully to me as a person, because there was a great season in the life of Elijah, and a great man, strong in faith, yet he reached a breaking point. He told God, I am tired. Like he decided not to bottle it up. So he poured it out. And there are different ways we can open up. There are different ways we can, some men, like the word says, man up. Don't cry. Men don't cry. Is that a reality? No, 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 no. So what did Elijah? Elijah actually did something that I want you to learn from. I know you are familiar with the story when Elijah said to God that I am tired. So person is trying to kill me. A lot of things is happening around me. I felt I'm tired. I can't move on. Can you let us call this thing? I'm tired of it. Just like the way everyone around the world is going through diverse of challenges. And let me quickly bust you up. The World Health Organization statistics state that in every 40 seconds, someone somewhere is committing suicide. So out of 4 men, 1 is dying to the pandemic of suicide. I'm using the word pandemic because it's raging around the globe, and it seems as if the world is not talking about it the way we spoke about, the way the whole world shut down about the pandemic. So this is indeed a global pandemic of suicide, pandemic of depression, stigma, and all of that. And that is the reason why we are here today in commemoration of World Mental Health Day to address and say, break the silence. So the moment of honesty was not weakness. It was healing for Elijah. Elijah opened up and God responded. When we speak out, heaven listens. So there is no time, that there is no room for you to say that, oh, no one is listening. The truth is that when you're ready to speak, we are always here to listen. I am always here to listen. Every of the world leaders that were part of the contributing authors for this book, they are always here to listen. So you can slide to any of our DM anytime, any day, reach out to us or log on to our website, www.mentalhealthcapacity.org, and we'll be here to listen to you. So when we speak out, heaven listens. And when we share, healing begins. So, but when we stay silent, we become prisoners to our own emotions. So we just become prisoners to our own emotions. So today we must break the silence, and that's the reason why we are here today. Because mental health is not a sign of weakness; it is indeed a sign of being human. And at the Mental Health Capacity Foundation, we believe that awareness is the first step to healing. And we started this journey because too many people were dying quietly while the world looked the other way around. So that is the reason why we are here today. I am not here alone. So today, we are not just here to talk about mental health. We are here to build capacity for mental health. So, and to begin this conversation, I'm so honored to bring on stage. I'm going to have some of my world leaders. I really indeed celebrate them. I'm going to bring them on board. Then we're going to just start a very brief conversation on how everything got started and where we are right now. So please stay tuned. Please feel free to share this. And I'm going to bring on stage first Dr. Sison Prince from United States. Dr. Sison Prince, welcome on stage. How are you doing, sir? How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing fine. And you? Can you hear me?
Blessed. Yes, I can hear you clearly.
Okay, good. I'm doing well. And you?
I'm great. So, firstly, let's quickly start that. Thank you for joining us today and to help us break the silence. It's more than a pleasure having you join us today.
Well,
And
I am so
also,
honored to be here.
thank you. Thank you. Yeah, without much ado, also, I would like to bring on stage Dr. Veni Kohan. Dr. Veni, how are you doing, sir?
I am doing great. How are you?
I'm blessed. It's more than a pleasure having you. So I'm still gonna bring Ambassador Pastor Gary on stage right now. Then Pastor Gary, how you doing?
Oh my!
I can hear you, Pastor Gary. How you doing?
I'm
yes,
doing
I can
great.
hear you clearly.
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Oh, blessed. Thank you so
Praise
much for
God.
joining the conversation today. Yeah, and also I'd like to bring on stage my brother, indeed, Chad Smith from Wisconsin. Chad Smith, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm trying to get everything aligned here, and I'm gonna laugh with you some a little bit. You were seeing me in the back camera trying to get everything aligned, and I look like a squirrel bouncing in and out of the camera here. So we're all good though. No, it's beautiful here in the Upper Midwest.
Okay, thank you so much. And also, I'd like to bring on stage Coach Joe Gray from United States. Joe Gray, how you doing?
I'm good, brother. How are you guys doing today?
Blessed.
Well,
So without much ado, I'm going to give individuals to please introduce yourself to readers, to our viewers, so that they can get to know you, what you do, and if possible, let them know your website so that they can be able to reach you after today's summit. So I'm going to go with Dr. Sion Prince. Thank you.
Well, I'm Sakoni Prince of SakoniPrince.com, where we make motivation personal. We're introducing you to yourself. I'm a personal development strategist, a leader, but I also deal with an aspect of mental health where I talk about healing your inner child.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, Dr. Veni.
Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Vinny Cochran, and I'm a retired United States Marine after serving 30 years. I've co-founded a company called SWAG, which stands for Succeeding with a Goal, where we help individuals develop the courage, the confidence, and the clarity, the confidence, and the courage to lead themselves through any situation that they can. And we do that by getting into the schools, helping the teachers, helping the students, and helping the parents, so that these young individuals can achieve the dreams that they desire most.
Wow, thank you so much. Thank you. So can I have Ambassador Pastor Gary Wilkerson?
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Ambassador Pastor Gary Wilkerson, Calling Down Heaven Ministries, which is a global outreach. And my focus is to identify young men being raised up in the gospel and to mentor them into becoming mighty men of God. I continually focus on those in Africa. I have ministry in Nigeria and also in Malawi, East Africa, and also in Pakistan. Also, I focus on building up the children. In Pakistan, I've developed an educational program for the children there. And so my focus is definitely building up the lives of people to strengthen their communities across the globe.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ambassador Pastor Gary Wilkerson. So, my brother Charles Smith, how you doing?
I'm doing good. It's doing great. It's been a long, fulfilling year.
Yeah, it is. So can you please introduce yourself to our viewers?
Yeah, absolutely. Hey guys, if you guys haven't seen me before, I am Chad Smith. I am one of the wonderful authors that are part of this, collaborating author that's part of this book, along with Joe and some other people on here as well. You can follow me in many different locations here. So on TikTok, I am Chadwick Comedy. On YouTube, we are Unchained Media Works, which is the short videos, everything I do with my hiking and everything, hiking, comedy, any video work. And then on top of that, my personal brand is Seek the Peak brand, which is showing the love of trail and hiking and ultra running to people throughout the world here. So that is at seekthepeakbrand.com. With that, you'll see like my ultra videos with the GoPros and stuff. So I took a big time focus to start videotaping everything this year and just enjoying life and kind of bringing that same joyful part of the trails and the experience and the hiking to the people throughout the world.
Yeah, thank you so much, Chad Smith. Coach Gray, my brother, Coach Joe Gray, can you please go on to introduce yourself?
Yes. My name is Coach Joe. I do youth coaching. I write stories for youth as well as create content. Really create content, products, programs, and platforms for youth and young men to learn, grow confidence, and become the best version of themselves. Started in 2020 with a brand called True to You, just inspiring people to be the best version of themselves. And through the years, started my personal brand and through grassroots community and organizations, and launching the Gray Space Foundation, which just creates spaces for teens to be themselves, get the advice, knowledge they need from mentors in the community and mentorship groups. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. We're just going to go on a very short break, and when we come back, we'll start today's conversation.
Mental health is health, and when our mental health is off balance, we are off balance. Managing mental health requires balancing a variety of internal and external stress factors: biology, emotions, heritage, environment, family, life. There is no one way to achieve balance, and it doesn't come without challenges. Even though there has been much progress, mental health is still often neglected and under-prioritized. From the world of sports to everyday work settings to social situations, mental health still paints itself with stigma, discrimination, and misunderstanding. It's what we do. It's all we do. But this is not done alone. As a society and individuals, we all have the responsibility to create the place where mental health is supported and prioritized. We need to understand that there is no health without mental health.
Yeah, thank you guys for joining us. For everyone that is watching right now, please, thank you so much. Today we are discussing on breaking the silence, which is in commemoration of World Mental Health Day. Today is Mental Health Capacity Global Summit, and this is the number 6th that we're having. And I just want to say thank you to every contributing author, every speaker that is here today. I know out of your busy schedules, you've been able to create time, not just for me, not just for because today is World Mental Health Day, but for the fact that you have the interest of every man at heart. Thank you so much. I want to say thank you. And before we have individual speak on their either the chapter or what they really want to talk about today, I would like us to just have a short conversation, an interactive conversation. And I just want to ask individual, because every one of us, we are still going through life, and I believe that we've gone through tough times, different seasons, and I just want to ask a question that we should just interact with. Then after then, I hope this is going to give the viewers a full scope of understanding of what, when you hear the word, the phrase breaking the silence, what does it mean to you personally? Like for me, I can just say this to everyone that is watching right now, that it takes a whole lot to break that point from which you felt nobody or no one is listening or no one is ready to listen to you. So I just want to say that breaking the silence, what does it mean to you? So I'd like to have individual share their thoughts so that those who are watching can have a full understanding of what it means, the phrase breaking the silence. What does it take for you to break your silence? How have you been able to break silence in the past? And for everyone that is watching, thank you so much. I'm going to start with Dr. Prince. Yeah.
Well, to me, breaking the silence means letting the pressure off. A lot of internal pressure when it comes to just our life and the things that are expected of us. And so in order for us to relieve some of that pressure, we have to have someone that we can talk to. And that's what breaking the silence means to me.
I would like to have Dr. Venny.
For me, breaking the silence means removing the mask that we all wear, which is actually what my chapter is called, Beyond the Mask. Breaking that silence is us as men, especially being able to take on the many different masks that we unfortunately were taught by generation after generations that we had to wear. So when we start relieving or taking off each one of those masks, we begin to truly understand who we are as individuals and who we were actually meant to be.
Thank you so much. Breaking the silence really means speaking out when you open up, when you unmask. Thank you so much for sharing that. And when people come together, either to openly speak about issues that are often hidden or probably stigmatized or that has been ignored, they can just come up and open about it. Especially for those that causes pain and shame or emotional suffering, hurts, when left unspoken. So this is my own definition of breaking the silence, just to buttress what Dr. Venny says. Thank you so much, Dr. Venny, for that. Can I have Chad Smith? Can I have you?
Yes, sir. Go ahead. Do you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right.
What
So
is the definition of breaking the silence?
to me, my definition of breaking silence is it's on the it is pulling the mask off, but pulling that mask off to your trusted community. Having people around you that, you know, everyone's been through something before, so do not be afraid to open up to some people and understand someone's walked the path before you, and that's where the reason you're supposed to be. So open up to your community, and, you know, just like many community men and women, depends on whoever you're collaborated with, will lead you through so many trials and tribulations just by the power of having that community.
Yeah, thank you so much. Ambassador Pastor Gary, we can sing.
Yes. Thank you. For me, breaking the silence is allowing yourself to identify with your emotions, allowing yourself to identify with your emotions and thereby presenting yourself as vulnerable, because vulnerability is something that attracts people. And being vulnerable, you can certainly help or uplift people who may be experiencing something similar.
Yeah, thank you so much. Can I have Coach Joe Gray?
Yes, yes. To me, breaking the silence means when you reach that point where you're sick and tired of being sick and tired. When the breaking point is when you're ready to find the healing that you need, and to piggyback off Ambassador, uh, vulnerability and being comfortable with vulnerability and not seeing it as a weakness.
Yeah, thank you so much, Coach. So I just want to add this, that when we use the word breaking the silence in the context of mental health, it actually signifies ending the stigma, like encouraging people to open up, to talk about their struggles, to also speak out without fear or judgment, and also creating awareness. And that is what mental health day is all about: creating the awareness, bringing difficult topics like depression, anxiety, trauma, or suicide into the public conversation. By empowering people, by giving people that access to not feel alone, to not just feel like, okay, if they speak, nobody will listen. So this is just an avenue for us to let people know that we are always here to listen, and also empowering voices, letting survivors, advocates, or professionals share their stories, their thoughts, their best practices, and grand strategies that they have collectively collected over decades to inspire healing and change all around the world. So thank you so much. And right now, without much ado, I'm going to have, firstly, I would like to thank those who joined us on Facebook. I have Minister Johnny Cole. He said, good morning. Good morning to you. I have Rian Torres. Thank you so much. I have Tolu Felicity. Thank you so much. More grace to you too. Thank you so much for sharing as well. Thank you. Dr. Donna Tolson, thank you so much for joining. Blessings to you in abundance too. Thank you so much. So right now, I would like to have Dr. Prince to come on stage and share with us what you have to share with the world. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. And I can't to be here on this day, sharing with your amazing audience the importance of us really looking at our mental health. You know, the title that I got for my chapter in the book was, If Men Don't Cry, They Crumble. If men don't cry, they crumble. And when I thought about that whole concept of men crying, I can't even tell you the last time I've seen a man cry other than something tragic happening. All of us, we are under a certain amount of pressure. And I'm not saying that we should be crying every day, but statistics show that in the past month, men they admit to crying one time. Now, women may cry twice or four times as much as men do. They relieve that pressure, but men, we have a hard time doing that. So when I wrote my chapter, If Men Don't Cry, They Crumble, I thought about that there are two possible outcomes to all of that pressure. One is an explosion. The other one is them crying. Now, an explosion to me would denote someone who lacks the maturity to realize that there's going to be collateral damage if they just burst, if they just explode, if they allow their emotions to get the best of them and they just go off on everybody around them. That's an explosion. But what that does, that causes hurt, pain to those who are closest to us. Those that are furthest away from a bomb don't get hurt, but those that are close to it, they take the brunt of it. But see, real men don't act immature and blow up, But if they don't have a chance to cry, what real men do, they crumble. They have to find a way to relieve that pressure. And so it chips away at their mental capacity. In my chapter, I talk about how important it is for us to cry, because those tears wash away the pain. They allow us an outlet and a chance for us to really get all of that hurt out. A good friend of mine shared that when we cry, we should allow our tears to flow. Oftentimes when men find themselves crying, they'll quickly try to stop and they'll wipe away the tears. But sometimes our release comes in just letting them flow. Our ability to manage and to deal with the situation that we're currently going through comes from our ability to let that pain out. So if men don't cry, they crumble. I talk in my chapter about how when I was younger, I had a horrific experience, and you have to buy the book. You got to get the book to read it. But it was something that would make anybody cringe. But I was torn between expressing my full feelings, my full emotions, and just sucking it up. Not crying, trying to, not allowing my emotions to show. But I know how fruitful it is for us to be in safe environments. And I love what Chad said earlier about having a trusted circle, some trusted friends, a safe space to where we can cry, to where we can let our emotions out, to where we can, quite frankly, be human. So many of us are in situations where we don't have that type of environment. And I remember this one good friend of mine telling me, he said, listen, you need to make a friend before you need a friend, because the time you need one is the wrong time to try to make one. So many of us go through life playing this Lone Ranger mentality, like we don't need anybody. But then when life gets too heavy for us, we have nobody to catch us. If you push everybody away, you can't blame them for not catching you when you fall. In order for me to catch you, I got to be close to you. I got to be there right next to you, so when things get heavy, I can be there to catch you. But if you don't build those relationships, if you don't surround yourself with people who you can trust, and not only that, if you don't become that person for somebody else, it's not just about what they can do for you. What can you do for them? And as men, we need to make sure that we are building relationships. And we don't have to have everybody, a ton of people, but we need a couple of trusted folks that we can go to when life gets hard, when things get too burdensome for us to bear. Because again, if men don't cry, they crumble. Sometimes you look at somebody and they're smiling. Everything looks great and wonderful, but on the inside, they are slowly being eaten away by their own pain, their own misery. But if they have an outlet, if they have somebody that they can talk to, if they have somebody that they can go to, they have somebody who can give them good, solid counsel. There's a scripture that says, he that counsels himself counsels a fool. We have to have people around us that can give us good, solid advice. But that means that we have to open up. We have to be honest with where we are and what we're going through. You can't go to the doctor talking about your toenail, but your stomach is bothering you. You got to talk about the issue at hand. And a lot of people, they go through life and they don't do that. So my encouragement to everybody listening, whether you're male or female, build relationship with trusted people who care about you so that you can, when you need to, you can cry. Somebody that you can be honest with. I can't tell you how many men, we all peacock. We all show off everything we got. But on the inside, are we okay? Are we well? Are we mentally sound? Do we have what it takes for us to keep going? Or are we just one comment away from throwing in a towel? Are we one text or phone call away from giving up? Are we one incident away from taking our own life? And if that's you today, I ask you, get somebody, talk to somebody, buy this book, read the chapters, get the information, because there's so much available to you, but you have to step up If I knew who you were, I would call you myself, but I don't. That's why I'm on here talking to you now. I don't care what you're facing or what you're going through. There's somebody that cares about you, somebody that wants to see you succeed and win. And if you don't know anybody else, if you can't name anybody else, that's me. I want you to win. I want you to succeed. I want you to be here because I know that I need help. I need your help. I need somebody I can lean on. When my life gets hard, when things get so weary for me, I need somebody I can talk to. I need you. And you need me. We need each other. So don't suffer in silence. Find somebody you can talk to. Find a group that you can actually be transparent with. Find somebody that you can cry in front of. Because like I said in my chapter, if men don't cry, they crumble. And I don't want to see you crumbling. You know, the funny thing about something that crumbles is that it's hard to even identify what it is. When it's been crumbled, when it's been chipped down, it's hard to identify what was that? And I don't want that to be the case for you. I want people to be able to look at you and recognize that's a man. Or if you're a woman, that's a woman who has the capacity to be human, but also finds the strength in their humanity. And that's what I said in my chapter. Listen, if men don't cry, they crumble. And I want to see you whole. I want to see you happy. I want to see you healthy. And I want to see you making a difference to those who you were called to serve. With that being said, Dr. Psalms, back over to you.
Thank you so much for that powerful nugget. So let's quickly appreciate. We have Dr. Donya. She said that love the dialogue. Great topic. Thank you so much. And we just want to also use this medium to tell every woman out there, this conversation is not just only for men alone. It's going to be a great resource for your husband, for your son, for your brothers out there. So please do well to share so that every other person can be part of today's conversation. And the truth is this is a non-stop conversation. It's not just a conversation that is reserved for World Mental Health Day or World Mental Health Month alone. So this is going to be a continued conversation that we're going to take from here to YouTube. We're going to encourage other men as well through podcasts, myself and all the world leaders. And I want to use this medium to say to Dr. Clyde Rivers, I think he told me that he's flying right now. So once he lands, he's going to join us right now. So thank you so much, His Royal Highness, for helping us to make this a reality. To the I Change Nations worldwide, I want to say thank you so much for being part of this conversation as well. And to everyone out there, thank you so much. We have this message from Vanessa Robinson, Washington. She said, thank you, Dr. Prince, for the invite. So thank you so much for joining us. We have Kashia Jordan. She said, thank you, Dr. Veni, for the invite. And we have Minister Johnny also Cole. He said, thank you. He said, yes. So I guess he's saying yes to your conversation when you were talking about the reason why men should not bottle up their life-shattering or emotions. So thank you so much. I just want to quickly use this opportunity to also bring on stage Dr. Veni. So Dr. Veni, I'm going to hand over the mic to you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Psalm. And what I want to talk about today in regards to Men Don't Cry is first understanding that true strength is found not in the silences of our tears, but in the courage to let them fall. And what I mean by that is I believe that so many men now and so many men from our past generations, we've been taught to, hold it in. As the brother Sakoni Prince said, man up. But we have to get past that narrative. We have to get past that narrative that crying is weak, that not showing emotions is not how we portray ourselves as men. And we have to get past the narrative that we shouldn't be showing our emotions. So with that said, my chapter that I wrote in the book is entitled Beyond the Mask. And what it is, it's a prelude to a book that I'm currently writing entitled The Identity Crisis. And with the identity crisis is what I'm going to touch on, is something that, not only men, but obviously everybody out there goes through it. And I kind of put a twist on it because first and foremost, the way that I spell the identity crisis with identity is EYE, and the crisis begins with CRY. And I say that because what it means to me is the soul cries for that which it actually sees, it can't see, or it wants to see. And again, with something that we absolutely have to get past that, and we have to understand, how do we begin to navigate this thing called that identity crisis? And the identity crisis is when you think of the saying, you're either going into the storm, you're going through the storm, or you're coming out of the storm. That, ladies and gentlemen, is an identity crisis in another form. And when you look at removing that mask, taking that mask off that we all wear, as a retired United States Marine, and I've served 30 years, I didn't have any option but to wear a mask, because you have to put on that, in most cases, that facade of, you have to lead, you always have to be strong, and you can't show any weakness, especially in combat situations. So we're told, to suck it up. We suck up the pain, we suck up the emotions, we let none of our individuals that we're leading see the hurt that we may be going through. And I write about in the book a particular incident in which I believe I was metaphorically brought to my knees. And it was a situation where I was on a convoy in Afghanistan, and I'm the most senior enlisted individual in our unit. And during that particular convoy, a drive that probably should have only taken about an hour at max ended up taking us about 23 hours. And the reason for that was because of all the IEDs and things that were going off. And every time an IED hit a vehicle or the vehicle hit an IED, we had to stop and ensure that the Marines and the sailors that was in those vehicles were taken care of. So at a particular rest stop, and I say rest stop because we're in an open desert, we're drinking a lot of water because it's 130 degrees out, and you have to stop occasionally, even in a place as dangerous as the open desert, so that individuals can relieve themselves. And we got out of the vehicle, I relieved myself, got back into the vehicle where I can look outside the back window, and as my vehicle was pulling off, the vehicle directly behind me rolled over the exact spot where I was standing, and boom, that vehicle blew up. And it was in that moment that I realized that I was standing on an IED and it didn't go off. A lot of things went through my mind in that very moment, but the one thing I did somewhat silently is I cried. I cried because I was thankful. I cried because obviously I was still alive. But most importantly, I cried because it was a release. It was like a weight had been lifted off my shoulders. For 30 years in the military, I told myself coming up throughout the ranks that I always wanted to be bigger. And I always wanted to be stronger. And even at the highest rank, which I achieved, I always felt that I wasn't measuring up. But in that instance, and on that day, when I stepped on that IED and it didn't go off, I realized that I was put in the perfect body to endure that which I know he already knew that I was going to have to endure. And if I was bigger, with all the weight that I was carrying, there's no doubt that IED would have went off. And again, it was in that moment that I cried. It was in that moment that I lifted off a mask, or I took off a mask to reveal and understand the person who I was actually meant to be. As I said before, I wasn't meant to be 200 pounds and be the perfect, picture perfect image that they saw as a United States Marine. I was smaller. Yes, I was quick. I was faster. But again, at times I felt that I didn't measure up, even though I had attained the highest enlisted rank that you could attain. So again, my chapter simply talks about being able to identify the situations that you're in, how to navigate that sphere of the identity crisis when you're going into the storm, preparing yourself to go in, removing the mask that you have to go in with and putting on a different mask, because sometimes we have to put on a mask. And then there's the times where we have to take it off. You have to understand how to navigate through that storm. And I call those storms the crucible. You see, in the Marine Corps, when individuals go through 13 weeks of boot camp, you know, their second to the last week that they go through, they endure what we call the crucible, which some individuals say it's the hardest part of their 13 weeks. But when they come out of that crucible, you know, and they make that final march, and they're standing there and we're presenting them with, you know, our emblems, the eagle globes and anchors, these Marines, who we are now calling them the Marines, who are recruits for the last 11 weeks leading up to that, most of them begin to shed tears. Now, these individuals come from all over the country. They come from war-torn neighborhoods, quiet neighborhoods, you know, abusive families. But in that moment, after everything that they went through, that crucible, they let the tears fall. You know, they take off a mask knowing that at some point they're going to have to put on another one. You know, it might be considered armor. It might be considered a shield, because as men, I will tell you this. Some of the masks that we wear is not out of arrogance, and it's not out of ignorance. You know, it's something that, again, we have to wear to get through the situations that we are going through in our lives. And again, going through and understanding that sphere of the identity crisis and what it means to go into that storm, what it means to traverse the fires and the battles while you're in that storm, and then come out of that storm, is all a portion of letting yourself cry. Because crying is not weakness, crying is a healing. And in that space, when you come out and you let those tears fall and you show that vulnerability, I call it your sacred pause. You know, some people say it could be the calm before the storm that you're going in. It could be like if you're in a tornado and you're in the eye of the storm. But when you're in that sphere of the identity crisis, it's called the sacred pause. It's that moment that you can create in your mind where you can be silent with yourself, and you can just accept everything that's around you and know that it's going to be all right. Because let's face it, ladies and gentlemen, no matter how bad your life was, no matter how bad your life is, and no matter how bad your life is going to be, you've already made it through the worst times of your entire life, and you're still here. So my final message to everyone out there is simply this. You know, when you find yourselves going through those dark places, you know, those dark moments in your lives, all I want you to do is sit down in silence for 5 minutes. Let yourself be in that sacred pause for 5 minutes and simply allow yourself to feel. Allow yourself to feel everything around you, because healing doesn't happen when you avoid pain. It happens when you acknowledge it. So let the tears flow. Find someone to speak to. Join an organization and take off that mask. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Veni. It's more than a pleasure tapping into your experiences that you've collectively gathered over decades. And thank you so much for sharing that powerful nugget with us. I have a comment from Jessie White. She's Are you comfortable enough to know you are on your own worst critics and love yourself despite your flaws? You can, and it's okay too. And that's what we are saying. We're saying it's okay that things is not going as you've planned or you've actually hoped for. But the truth is this: you deserve to love yourself, and say it louder. The dark brings forth the light. Absolutely. After the rain comes the sunshine as well. Thank you so much. We have this powerful thought from Gary Wilkerson. He said, crucibles create vessels of honor from the men who entered without honor. Thank you so much for that powerful nugget. And thank you so much, Dr. Veni, for sharing those powerful thoughts with us. And I know that everyone that is watching, because we know that a lot is going on around the world right now. And if I have something to say right now to everyone, I would say, brothers, men, and to the young and emerging, I want to say that today we are not just here to prove our strength. Neither are we here to just come and just show that we've lived the good, the bad, but we are here to reclaim our humanity. We're all here to ensure that we collectively reclaim our humanity. For too long, men have been told to be silent, and that is the truth. From childhood, men, we've been told to be silent. And I just want to share this, that men have for long, they've carried their pains like armor, but silence has never healed anyone. So it only hardens the wound. So thank you so much, Dr. Veni, for that. We're still going to have you an interactive session before we round up today's. I have Jesse. Thank you, Jesse, for being part of today's Mental Health Capacity Global Summit in commemoration of World Mental Health Day. So thank you so much, Dr. Veni. So I would like to also bring on stage. Oh, thank you, Dr. Holland. Let me quickly bring you on. Let's have a chat. Dr. Michael Holland, how you doing?
I am good. I apologize for being late. I was just driving and I got stuck in traffic this morning.
Yeah, I sincerely understand. So thank you so much. Before you joined in, we had a conversation. So I would like us to pick it up from there. Please introduce yourself to our viewers, those who are watching right now, and those that will still watch the replay.
Okay. Well, I'm Dr. Michael Holland. I am a physical therapist and an integrative medicine doctor. I've created a idea called Triune Health Arts, which helps individuals become the person that they need to be to thrive in the world. It's something that I learned through trial and tribulation of my own travels through the world. And I've helped many people with this, and it's basically helping yourself so that you can learn how to help the world. That's the big idea of Triune Health. It's being civil to yourself and learning how to understand and love yourself.
Yeah, thank you so much. And if I may ask, what is your own definition of breaking the silence? How have you been able to actually break free during your challenges time, during the time that things were tough? How have you been able to maneuver tough times? Yeah.
That's where the whole idea of Triune Health came from, is because I was suffering in silence because during COVID, I lost a lot of people around me, and I felt all alone. And I was suffering in silence, where I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what was next. And I finally looked inside myself and said, I can't do this, by myself. I need to find a way to do it. And that's when I started speaking to myself and understanding I could do it by myself, but it was easier with others around me. But in those times, I learned that you can either just sink and everything that builds up around you can bury you, or you can take the nutrients from it, learn from it, and grow. And that's what I did. That's how I learned to break the silence. Was I broke the silence with myself, not necessarily with others, but I broke the silence of myself, and I started speaking to myself and understanding myself. And that's where my understanding and my thriving came from, was when I began to understand myself and my needs.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. So you're going to stay back. We're still going to have you come and share your thoughts with our viewers right now. So before we proceed, I'd like to quickly bring on stage Ambassador Pastor Gary. Ambassador, how you doing?
I'm doing great, man. I am doing
Yes.
great. So blessed.
Thank you. Let's quickly take this. I have from Jesse. He said, do you have program available for people on this transition? Yes, we're going to share that. You can actually log on to www.mentalhealthcapacity.org. Yeah, thank you so much. And we're still going to be having a conversation with each of the authors on our YouTube channel. So please do stay back. We're going to be sharing all of those nuggets before we wrap up today's conversation. So without much ado, please, Ambassador Pastor Gary Wilkerson, please, can I have you take the mic and share your thoughts and best practices?
Okay, well, thank you. Thank you very much. You know, when you first came to me regarding this project, Men Don't Cry, immediately, without any information, any details, I knew exactly what the project was going to be representing. And so I'm grateful to have opportunity to be a part of this auspicious project that has been launched. And thank you for inviting me in. So as I said in my story, Men Don't Cry, that just happens to be one of the most destructive untruths that I personally have ever heard as a boy growing up. And, you know, the idea behind the statement, men don't cry, it's one of those things. It's like, it's telling you that we must always appear to be strong, right? That's the idea behind this statement, men don't cry. But my question has always been, how is the strength of a man identified? You know, and being one who grew up without a father, I didn't really have anything before me to identify with. So I had to do my own research through men who were around me in other aspects of my life, like sports and school, you know, teachers and such. And what I realized is that, you know, the strength of a man is not in the physical form or appearance of a man. Strength is located in the character and heart of a man. Excuse me. It's by reason of the values that you hold in your own heart, right? And so, you know, my idea is that true strength isn't hidden in your pain. It's daring to show your pain. That's where true strength resides. Daring to show your pain, daring to be vulnerable. Embracing strength through vulnerability is my idea of being a man and being a strong man. So yeah, embracing the strength through vulnerability is one of the most impactful tools that we all have to affect touching the lives of others. And of course, that's our natural created responsibility, to touch the lives of others. God didn't create us for ourselves. He created us to be a benefit to the lives of others, you know. And so the phrase men don't cry, for me, as a child growing up, it was a lesson, but it was a lesson in the sense that it enabled me to identify early on in my life that this just didn't make sense to me. Men don't cry. I didn't understand that at all. And it just didn't feel natural to me because it wasn't natural. So I was able to identify with that, you know, as a teenager, actually. And then as I grew up and matured as a man, I began to look at other things, and I began to understand the issues of life and pride, and what pride does to diminish who you are, really, you know. And so I began to look at things as I came to know the Lord. I realized God, our creator, he shed tears. Even Jesus, my redeemer, he wept. He wept, showing his vulnerability, and his strength in that process was not diminished. And, you know, so when I was writing my story, I thought to break it down into 3 parts. And as you will find when you read the story, those 3 parts identify the different stages of my growth as a man and bringing me to the place to where I am now. But one thing I realized as the man that I am now, there are things that take place in life that, as I said previously, diminish. It will diminish our life if we do not identify with our emotions. If we do not, cannot show ourselves vulnerable, it will definitely destroy our lives. And I experienced that. And this month actually marks 3 years where I began to go through a downward spiral, beginning with losing my late wife just suddenly, unexpectedly, watching her die before my eyes. And in that moment, I experienced a peace that didn't make sense to me. And as time went on, that peace carried me. But what also happened is there was an unidentified issue with pride because I am a servant. I love serving people. So I gave myself to serving those around me, to taking concern with how those around me were dealing with these things. And I didn't allow myself an opportunity to grieve. And so I found myself a month and a half later, my body completely shut down and gave up on me, refused to cooperate, you know. And in that moment, I saw some things that really changed my outlook on life and the value of identifying with our emotions. I actually, until that time, did not allow myself to grieve. And I realized that in the process of that, I was doing something, and this is a term that I'm going to coin right now. I was doing something to myself that if it was not by the grace of God and by the quick actions of those around me and the medical care that was expedited, I wouldn't be here. As a matter of fact, I actually did die in the moment, momentarily. But by the grace of God, I was restored. But what I realized took place in that moment, because of the hidden issues of pride, even though my goal was always serving, there was a pride that didn't allow me to identify, to tap into my own emotions at that time. And the coin that the phrase that I'm going to coin right now is involuntary suicide, because that's where I was. I was in a process of committing a suicide involuntarily because I did not give care to myself. And so I want to end by admonishing everyone, every man, every woman, give attention to yourself. Yes, it's good to be a servant to others because that's how God created us. But do give attention to yourself, because if you don't, you could be also slowly committing involuntary suicide. Thank you, sir. Thank you all for your time and allowing me to share what's on my heart regarding Men Don't Cry. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ambassador Pastor Gary Williams. We've known for a couple of years now, and thank you so much for always showing up to be a voice for the voiceless around the world. Thank you so much for being a great voice for men across the world. Thank you so much, sir.
It's an honor. It's an honor, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Quickly, I would like to bring on stage my brother, my friend, Chad M. Smith. Is actually not just one author. He's written many books. I think his second book is on the way right now. I can remember the second one is on the way. And firstly, my brother, how you doing? And how has it been like? Let's start from the journey of how you've been able to break free from addiction, from your first book, and then we now move from there to today's conversation, because I know you really indeed have a lot to share with men between the age range 40 upward. So let's go from there.
Yeah, and funny thing is actually the same thing got brought up last night. So and I know some of the guys are listening right now, but Thursday nights, we typically have a men's group at my local church. So about a dozen plus guys get together, all wide ranges, anywhere from mid-20s to I think mid-70s, I think is the oldest. I got to double check. But the same question came up last night because I walked in and they were like, hey, when are we going to get signed books? And I wasn't even expecting it. Right. And it's really weird because I brought up the term footprint is the best way of saying it. And I kind of look at my life past the addictions to now as more of like an onion / footprint. It's just more it's really weird. It's a line of momentum that is just created and pretty much doing a life that no one really expected me to do at the beginning here. So obviously some jumped off here at the conversation, but we were looking at from the beginning of the book, the one that I'm looking at right here. So anywhere from the one that Psalm called Future Ready Leaders, the mindset of greatness. I'm trying to go through all the ones that we were all part of here, but obviously the Battle Warrior is the one that I wrote. But the big theme when it comes to this is the more you write down your emotions, the more you write down what you accomplished, you really don't understand, two things are going to occur here, right? So you don't truly find yourself, you find what you're designed to be and what you're starting to go down. So if you're going down the path that he created you to be, you're going to be going down to the path of the ripple effect is what I was going to say, or leave a footprint. My life drastically changed this last year when I finally decided to be more transparent of my true self. So a lot of you people that are in my local community here understand, love that I know I love the outdoors, love that I love to run, love that I do trail running. Obviously now I'm in the comedian or the comedy side of it as well. When we're looking at this, it's the ripple effect of, and I was going to the pastor before here, it's the serving. There's a class I took a couple of years ago called Flow Cess. And we analyzed my whole personality and what it is and what I love to do. And what it is I'm designed to be, going off my first book, a warrior that creates its own path prior to bringing people along. When you go hiking and stuff, if you're off the trail and you don't know where the trail is, the trail starts with footprints and imprints and the traffic where either a deer laid, a bike went, a footprint to where someone else went before you. And to me, I am designed as a person and the gift from God to be that footprint to push forward and kind of go past the layers and the normal style of life here. So, and I'm going to jump on here with Psalm here for a second, but in the book, what we're going to look at is, and I got to remember the material that I sent him, but with it is there's a moment where I went through a huge breakup and I was trying to talk about the energy of what it is to, if, outside of the breakup, of the energy of giving so much, serving so much, and just being so depleted that you have to take a step back and recharge yourself. I talked about the journey of post that of recharge myself, and I talked about the journey, and I hope this made it here. But the first ever ultra trail run that I did, that was such an analogy to life. We showed up, it was sunny, it was beautiful, and then storms come in. It was a 2 17-mile laps in the first lap of the 17 miles, back-to-back storms, back-to-back, wind, lightning strikes, all this stuff. And when you look at an analogy of that, the positivity of my mind going, there's a lesson behind this season, or this lesson behind this storm. And when you finish, there's a little voice in my head says, hey, let me show you what I'm going to do after the storm. Keep going. Let me show you what's going to happen. And the second lap came, and it was completely sunny, beautiful, wide open, and completely just an absolute gorgeous fall morning here and finished. And when I looked at something like that, I'm like, there's such a lesson of life with this, because here we prep so much to go hit this certain event or this certain winning this football game, this baseball game, the books, the podcasts, the comedian shows, whatever it is. We prep so much up to the event, but when the event comes, we have all these controllables, which is life and the trials and the tribulations and all that behind it. And our job is to be that strong person that created that footprint for the people behind us. So we're designed to go through this. We are the people that create our own paths. But with that, though, if you're going from one mountain down to the valley back to another mountain, you physically have to stop and reassess and look where you're going here. And typically when you're hiking with people, you're hiking with a couple people attached to it, especially in the rules of the mountains. Don't ever hit the mountains with a single person and go out with a couple of people. And with that, that's your trusted community. That's your people you can open up to, you can cry to, you can, send ideas to. So yeah, this is a wonderful, wonderful thing. I never knew I would be a five-time author. It's been a great time working with Sam and his group of people there at YPN. And I love and I appreciate this journey and helping people out here. So yeah, go back to the original. You can understand that I battled the pornography addiction, the alcoholic addiction, many other depression addictions, the suicide part where I wanted to drive off the road. Many stories written down that we captured. So great time. It's every season has a reason, and every lesson has a blessing. Those are the two favorite sayings that I love for everyone that's reading the Bible. So I love and appreciate those two sayings.
Yeah, thank you so much, Chad Smith. Let me just quickly give you a few minutes to also share with our viewers right now. How have you been able to maneuver tough times, especially at that moment where me and you, we've had a couple of time to speak behind. We always talk, we always have time to unbox a lot, and we've helped each other to grow in diverse fields. So I just want to quickly ask this so that you can also share this with those who are watching right now. Let's move a little bit to the business side. A lot of young people are trying to upskill in terms of their growth, in terms of their businesses. And I just wanted to share with them, it always feel like nothing is working at some time. At some point in time, you always feel like, okay, nothing is working. How have you been able to move from one level to another level to the level you are right now? So I think that will help.
Yeah. So I'm actually I went through a season of that this last year. So one season where things were not working to where they are working now. I always break down to who am I, what am I doing, and is this completely me? And the reason why I'm going to say who am I, what am I doing, is this completely me? Especially in the comedy world and in the world of business. People know when you're 100% authentic and the masks are down. People understand that you can walk up to a person, and I'm a people person, but you can walk up to a person, you can tell if a person's fake or not. And I'm gonna use the term fake, but with the masks on. People want to feel welcome. They want to feel welcome in a community. They want to feel welcome in part of a group. They want to just feel welcome and warming and open that. So to me, when I made the turn this past year, I was going against the wall. I was throwing all kinds of things against the wall. And to me, I'm like, if I'm going to do this journey and I'm going to accomplish this hill or I'm going to accomplish this, ultra race that I did, or the comedy thing that I'm doing, I'm going to do it truly who I am. I'm going to be myself completely down the process of it. I'm going to be myself on the stage, and just be the natural person you're created to be. And to get to that part, you have to go through a lot of trials and tribulations. You have to shed a lot of tears. You have to do a lot of communications with your community. You have to open up to your brothers. You can't be just quiet and trying to climb that mountain alone. It takes a whole team of people, whether from, and I'm going to use, running, for example, the shoes, the socks, the food, the training, on top of the business world, like, the conversations, the directions, the who are you truly are. And what you're going to notice is there's going to be people joining you, pushing that ball up the hill, and then all of a sudden it will just go. And I'm not at the part yet where the ball will go downhill, but I have a group of people that are helping us, myself, and I'm helping other people collaborate and win together as a team.
Thank you so much, Charles Smith. We're still going to have a collective conversation together before we wrap up today's Global Summit. Thank you so much for staying true to this cause. And I'm going to bring on stage my friend. Is someone that I so much appreciate his energy for the youth. He is also the founder of Gray Space Foundation. So, Joe Gray, how you doing, bro?
I'm good, brother. How are you, Dr. Song?
In fact, I'm great. I'm great. And I want you to please pour your heart to youth out there. I know you have the access. You've gone through the stages, and you have all it takes to speak to young people right now. As a youth mentor, as a youth coach, I want to speak to the young people. That is one of the reasons why I intentionally have you on this project, so that we don't have the young people out of the box. So take up the stage, bro. Take up the mic.
Yes. Thank you for even inviting me on to be a part of this project. When I seen the title, Men Don't Cry, it immediately brought me back to my childhood, being that 6-year-old boy crying because I couldn't understand why my dad wasn't in my life. And always being told, boy, stop crying, stop being so sensitive. And going to the other extreme as a teenager, being the teenager who doesn't talk at all, who's just carrying this baggage of completely being misunderstood, and just putting the mask on and presenting like everything is fine day by day. As a teenager, I remember trying to commit suicide and then going to school like nothing happened the next day, because you just have that mask on. You can't let anyone show. You gotta make sure everything's perfect and there's no cracks in the mask. And if that was me at 12 or 13 in 7th grade, imagine me at 15, 16, 17. And by the time I got to 18, I couldn't take it anymore. To where suicide was so real, to where I was crying so much and so miserable inside myself that I had to go to a mental institution. And I always tell people, like, it was literally like if you watch the movie Good Burger, and there I was at 18 years old in this cold asylum type of room with a hard bed, and just looking in the walls, and all I hear is the words "real men don't cry, real men don't cry." And as I'm sitting there bawling, and that's when I just started writing and crying, and to where the depression was my only reality. And in my culture, being vulnerable is like taking a bite from the forbidden fruit, something that men just don't do. We don't talk about our feelings. We don't acknowledge them, even it's to our detriment. No man ever wants to look weak or feel weak, and that right there is the price we pay, to it's just the price we pay as men. When vulnerability isn't a weakness, it's really strength. There's nothing more stronger than someone being able to show up completely as themselves, and be exactly who they are, not afraid of being judged. And because at the end of the day, we all go through life. At the end of the day, we're just humans, and we all have a story. It's like cutting yourself and needing stitches, and you hate going to the hospital, so you don't go to the hospital, yet now you're running the risk of it getting infected. And that same way we go in life. When we go through storms, we go through trauma, we go through pains, and we don't acknowledge them. We don't speak on it. We just try to deal with it and go day by day. That starts to infect us inside, and we will find a way to mask the pain, to deal with it. And a lot of those times it's negative. And I'm a living testimony of that. But that doesn't need to be a reality. That doesn't need to be how you wake up and how you end your days. Because the truth is, real men do cry. Real men do have feelings. My chapter is all about not focusing and arguing so much about what makes a real man, and as society places all these stipulations nowadays on what a real man is or isn't. But let's focus our energy of being men of character, men of integrity, and when no one's looking, doing the right thing, giving to others, and it's not about sharing your story with everybody, but it's about being willing and being vulnerable to connect with one person, at least one person, because your story can help them and their story can help you, and that's where healing starts. Unmask, unmask you, and start being that, living that reality every day. Kicking it over back to Dr. Song.
Thank you so much, Coach Jogre. Yeah, can you please let's before we wrap up your conversation right now, can you just please share a little bit of your journey and how you were able to unmask? I know a lot of young people are actually going through the things you actually went through, and I think I just want you to, the things you've gone through are so powerful that, like you shared in your unmasking me. So how were you able to unmask yourself? What does it entails like? What does it feels like? Yeah.
Yes. So for a while, I wore this mask of just presenting the best self, of just relying on people seeing me as just the athlete, who has it all together, who's always positive. Yet inside, I was broken. I was sad. I was very, I didn't have it together. Yet living in that reality of not wanting anyone to know the real me, and being too afraid of people to judge me, being too afraid of what people would think. Will I still have friends? Will they still accept me? Will they still like me? Um, and the weight of people's thoughts and reality was more important than kind of anything, especially as a peer, as a team. Your peer acknowledgement and peer validation is everything. And not wanting to give up that comfortability of popularity that comes with being an athlete, to expose who you are and what you really do. I mean, like who you really come from. As I was the one who came from, the hood. Sometimes my lights was off. Sometimes I didn't have no food in the house. Um, so that reality wasn't too comfortable. And growing up, I wasn't too comfortable in my own skin. So I just always just decided to shy back. And the more that I started to suppress who I really was, the more I started to become more disconnected with who I really was. And then little by little, I'm starting to behave in ways that aren't even who I really am, to the point where now I'm just totally disconnected and away from even playing sports, all because I'm people pleasing and just so caught up in keeping up with my peers and what everyone else is saying. And unfortunately for me, that plagued me all the way up into my early 20s. And now sitting at 30, um, I'll be 30 in a couple months. I look back and it wasn't until really my early 20s, 23, 24, until where I really, got sick and tired of being sick and tired for myself, of just not showing up, of just being afraid to be me. And just said it was okay. Who are they that I'm not? And kind of just made a pact to myself and just said, from here on out, I'm gonna be true to me, and unmask and be the real me. And it's just that.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that powerful thoughts with us. And I just want to also say that that I've come to just realize that there is something much more deeper, that most men are not silent because they have nothing to say. The truth is that they are silent because no one ever taught them how to speak when their soul is heavy. So, and that is what the whole conversation is all about today. We just want to give men all across the world. We want to give the young boy out there, the young men out there, the brother, the father, the husband, the all of the all components of humanity. Just want to show forth that it's one thing to be silent because no one ever taught you how to speak when things is not going your way, when life throws all the factors that makes life, which is the ups and downs of life. So I just want to use this medium to also share this, and that is the reason why we are here today. That we've been told, be strong, don't cry. We've been told, don't cry, man up, bottle up, handle it. But here is the truth: silence doesn't make you strong, it makes you suffocate quietly. So that is what it does. And that is one of the reasons why we've collectively come together to share our best practices and how we've been able to break silence, how we've been able to move past some of those tough times, and which we feel is going to help those who are going through that stage right now. And today, as we break the silence, I want to share some real life ways that some men or men all around the world are learning to open up. And these are not just theories, these are strategies that work. And I'll be sharing that. But before I do that, let me quickly bring on stage, Dr. Michael Holland. Dr. Michael, how you doing?
I'm great. I appreciate you having me here today.
It's more than a pleasure having you too. And I want to say that because you are also into this field, and where you help people all across the world as well. So please, I would like you to please go ahead and take the mic and share your thoughts.
Okay. Well, I've always been a physical therapist. I've been a doctor of physical therapy for many, many years. And I always help people after the fact, after they're injured, after they have their disease process. And at one point I realized I wanted to do something that was going to be preventative so that I didn't have to see these people, after the fact, but we could keep them healthy. And I never really knew what I wanted to do until COVID hit. When COVID hit, I lost we went through a breakup with my longtime girlfriend that I thought we were going to be getting married probably within the next year. And then I lost my mother and I lost my father. So in a matter of 16 months, I went from a very stable life to the three most important people in my life were now gone. And I just felt turmoil, and there was no rock in my life. I just felt like I was just being blown around like in a tornado, and I didn't know which direction was which. And I started dropping into a depression. At a certain point, I looked at myself and I said, you're a doctor. Why are you depressed? Why can't you fix yourself here? So it made me really look inside myself. And I realized that, the world has an ecosystem, and we always talk about we want to keep the ecosystem, the environment good. I said, well, my ecosystem is off. So I started looking at why my ecosystem was off. What am I doing? I'm not eating right. I'm not processing thoughts correctly. I'm not doing anything. I'm just being destructive to myself because I just don't care. And so many people, I think, go through life doing this. And my reality was I just didn't care. So I finally got to a point where I said, I have to do something, or I'm going to go down the path that I can't come back from. So I started looking at the different things I could do and how to make myself whole again. And what I did, I started asking myself 3 questions every morning. The first question is, am I the person that I present to the world, or am I just creating, like some of the earlier speakers talked about, am I just creating a mask, or am I a poser? Am I telling people I'm this and I'm this and I'm this, and I'm not opening it up, and I'm not being true to them, and I'm not being true to myself? So I started asking myself that. And so I started being real with myself. The second question was, is, am I who I truly want to be? And I started asking myself, is this what I want to be? And so when you start being honest with yourself, you find out that, hey, you're not really what you want to be. And so when I start answering no, I start thinking, what can I do to make myself what I want to be? So that brought to the third question: what am I going to do today to make myself that person I want to be? So every morning, even now, I ask myself those three questions every morning while I'm getting up, brushing my teeth, doing whatever. Um, I ask myself those three questions, and then I know this day what I'm going to do. So I have a plan every day. Um, and that's what helped me get through that depression. And I see so many people that I wish I could speak to them and tell them, you can do this, you can do this, this is how to do it. And the way I did it was I started taking small steps. You don't have to do big changes. You make small changes, every month you make a small change. Well, at the end of the year, you've made 12 changes. You're a completely different person. And that's what got me through everything, is because I didn't try to do everything at once. I didn't try to unload everything. And that's what I try and explain to people is small steps make big changes. And that's the book I'm writing right now, is Small Steps Towards Big Changes. Uh, and when you make the small steps and you become that person you want to be, now you can help others. Until you do the small steps, you can't, and you fix yourself, and you don't get your ecosystem. Once your ecosystem is aligned, now you can go out and you can be part of the bigger ecosystem of the world. But I don't want to give away too much of my chapter that I talked about, but like I said, it's, when you lose everything in your life in less than a year and a half, life becomes very difficult, and it really challenges you to see who you are, because I realized I was living my life to make others happy. And I learned that I had to make myself happy, and then I can make others happy. Um, One of the things that makes it easy is if you have a mentor that when you're going through these things, you can talk it out through. I didn't have a mentor. I started talking to myself, and that's what made me understand myself. And then once I understood myself, then I could start talking to other people about it. But the fact, men don't cry, very true. It was very true, because I didn't, because I kept everything inside and it was just me. And then finally, when I started understanding myself, then I could explain to others, how I felt, and it just felt so freeing. And that's what, I try to do with people now, is because there's so many people out there that need this. And that's why this project and this book is so important. And Dr. Salm has, spearheaded this. And I just feel it's such a blessing to be asked to be part of it. I'm overwhelmed with it, because I just see the need for this. And I wish there was more people in the world like Psalm that really cared. And I'll kick it back to you, Psalm. I don't know what else to kind of say about that.
Thank you so much. Yeah, we're just going to be having a roundtable discussion right now. So sorry, I have to bring on stage Ambassador Pastor Gary, and I have to also bring on stage Dr. Venny, and I have to also bring on stage Dr. Prince. So we just want to have the roundtable session before we wrap up today's conversation. And how can men truly open up? So this is the question: how can men truly open up? If I'm to answer that question, I'm going to say that we need communities where men can talk without being told to man up, without being told to bottle up things, and safe brotherhood circles where we can all come together, talk, cry, rebuild each other, as well as redefine our strengths, as well as, because we know that real strength isn't how long you can endure pain, but it's how quickly you can ask for help, how quickly you can quickly ask people around you, please, I need help. Because we really know that truly people don't like to speak up just because they don't know who to confide in or who will actually be who have what it takes for them to understand what they are going through, or who will be in the best position to be able to listen to them. Sometimes you just need someone to listen to them, and that is what I will say about how we can. And also, I would like to say that people need to find probably one safe person that they can quickly walk up to whenever they are going through life-shattering events that they can quickly speak to. And also, people need to start by naming their pains. Like, you can't heal when you keep hiding. They need to know that the first step to opening up is to name your hurt, be able to identify it and name it. When you can say, I'm tired, when you can boldly say that I'm really scared, I feel lost, like you start discerning the pain, you start unboxing the pain, the hurt, and the emotional pain, and all of that. So that is what I'm going to say when it comes to how can men open up. So I'm going to open up the panel right now so that you can share how can men who are watching us right now, who are going through depression, who are going through anxiety, or who are actually going through some emotional hurt, emotional pain, and stigma and all. So how can they open up? What are the strategies that has helped you? So can we just share this? This is the final session of today's Global Summit.
I guess I'll go first.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Thank you.
And for me, it's very simple. I think the best way and the easiest way for individuals to do this is just to simply let it out. And that might be in a quiet space with themselves, where they can feel that release. But after that, as was mentioned, I think with a couple of the other speakers, you have to have someone to speak to. You have to have that outlet, another man, a woman, it doesn't matter, just someone who you are comfortable enough to show them that vulnerability that we all have. I have a saying that always goes back to childhood, and I believe it's a verse in the Bible. Not sure the exact verse, but believe it's until we become yet again like children, we will not be allowed in His kingdom. And I always go back to that, and I tell individuals, if we all just go back to when we were children, when we were at our happiest. I do understand that some people had very rough childhoods, but when they were real small, infant-like, childlike, they had dreams. They had dreams of who they wanted to be and who they wanted to become. And somewhere along their journey in life, individuals in their lives started chipping away at that thing that they wanted to become. As children, you couldn't be told that you couldn't become whatever it is that you wanted to be when you were a child. If you wanted to be a superhero, nobody could tell you that you wasn't that superhero when you were a child. But somewhere along the line, unfortunately, for some, it was the parents. For others, it was the teachers in the school. It was the communities that we grew up in that slowly started chipping away at that thing that we knew that we should become, because I believe it was already embedded in us that was what we were supposed to become. So I think if you go back to your childhood and sit in silence and talk to that child that you were, and just let it release, that will probably be the biggest cry that I think you probably ever have in your life, is when you go back and talk to your childhood self. All right. And let those feelings actually be released, and then share it with someone else.
Wow. Thank you so much for that. Can we have Dr. Michael Holland? Then afterwards, we'll have Ambassador Pastor Gary Rickardson.
Yeah, I definitely agree with what you said. You have to look inside yourself. when you start to understand yourself, you recognize what is the issue. You look inside yourself, then you have to be able to put your ego aside, because our ego is what keeps us from going out and sharing, our weaknesses with others. We don't want others to think we're weak. We want others to think we have it all together. We're perfect. So when you can put aside your ego and you can look inside yourself and understand, then you can go share with someone else. And that's when you can really let it all out. But you've got to let that ego go, because that's what stops, I think, a lot of men from being able to share. Is they have to feel like they're strong. But the truth is that's just ego. We can be vulnerable. We can do the things that we say we can't do. Oh, I don't want to share with this person. Let that ego go and become that person that's vulnerable, and let that out so some others can come in and help you. But if you keep that wall up, you keep that ego up, you're never going to let others be able to help you.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. And can we have Ambassador Pastor Gary Wilkerson?
Yes, thank you again. I agree 100% with everything that's been spoken. And there is another saying that I identified with when I was younger. I heard someone reference this saying, and it impacted me greatly. And the saying was, "To your own self be true," right? And so I began to search out what does that really mean? Well, with gaining understanding to what I thought it meant, I created a monologue for myself, and I began to have conversations with myself about who I was, who I thought I was, who I perceived myself to be, what I wanted to be, and such. And in doing so, I was enabled to identify, with the weaknesses, the shortcomings. And so I began to seek out ways to bolster myself, to strengthen myself. And I come to realize the word of God is true, because it tells us that in our weaknesses, during our time of weaknesses in Christ, we are strong. We find strength in him. And so what does that look like? Going to him with our burdens, the things that are troubling our lives. And as we present that to him, he reveals ways to us to strengthen and bolster ourselves up. He brings people before us that we can trust and openly express ourselves without any concern of being exposed, if you will. And so that to me was very impactful, very powerful to get those different aspects and understanding of how to strengthen myself, as I was going through life challenges, because we all have them. There's not a human being on this earth that does not go through life challenges. But again, how do we deal with those? Begin with having a monologue with yourself. Be true to yourself.
Thank you so much. I just want to drop this final question for us to chat on. Then once we're done with this, then we'll move. What message would you give to someone watching right now who feels like giving up? So, Dr. Veni.
Wow. I think my message would be, you are important. Each and every one of us, as I said before, we were put here for a purpose. For some of us, we don't understand and learn what that purpose is until later on in life.
Yeah.
But I believe that God put inherent qualities and abilities in each one of us for each and every one of us to accomplish a specific task. And giving up is not going to honor what it is that you were put here to do. So again, it's about looking deep within yourself, understanding that you are special, you're one of a kind, no one can replace you, and never let what anyone says or does affect how you feel at any given moment in your life.
Yeah, thank you so much. Let me move to Dr. Michael Holland.
Yeah. I think one of the biggest things is like you said, look inside yourself. Don't be afraid to be honest with yourself. If you're honest with yourself, that's when you quit lying, and you can address the issues that are going on, and you can talk to others about that. I live by one thing that I learned a long time ago. Someone told me, you don't have to do it forever. Just don't quit today. So just do it day by day, each day. Don't quit today. Don't worry about doing it forever. Just don't quit today. And as long as you don't quit today, you're never going to quit.
Yeah, thank you so much. Ambassador Pastor Gary Wilkerson, we have you share your
Yes, yes.
message.
There is a story, and in my mind, it's the greatest story ever told. And this story is authored by the creator of all things. And in this story, he placed a chapter that's all about you. You're in his story. He authored the story of your life. And so when things get challenging for you in life, just remember that there's an author who wrote your story. He knows it from the beginning to the end and all the in-betweens. In fact, everything that was scripted about your life and your story is purposed. It has a purpose. Know that you have a purpose in life, and trust the process of that purpose that is given you by the author of the story, which is your life. Trust the process.
Thank you so much. After we have Dr. Vince Gomez, we're going to take the last question before we wrap it up. Thank you so much. Dr. Vince Gomez, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing phenomenal. How you doing?
I'm blessed. I'm blessed. So good to have you. Like you said, you're going to hop in. Thank you so much for hopping in. Thank you. Thank you. So firstly, I would like you to please introduce yourself to those who are watching right now, and for those who's going to watch a replay of today's summit.
Yeah, Dr. Vince Gomez from Hayward, California. You know, just out here doing God's work, working with men, working with the community, writing books. You know, just seeing what God's going to do in 2025 and 2026. We're excited about this book, Men Don't Cry. I think it's needed right now because of the way that the world is set up, because social media and too many people are separated.
Thank you. So please, I'm going to hand over the mic to you so you can speak to men in general. Thank you.
Yeah, I was excited about doing this project because I can relate to this because I went through anxiety and depression. You know, the Bible says in Hosea 4:6, it says, my people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. And the thing about it, we're destroyed because we don't understand. See, when I was going through depression and anxiety, I didn't know that after coming out of 15 years of drug abuse, why I had anxiety. Why did I have depression? Because all those drugs masked all my feelings. And a lot of men, we go through these things, maybe not drug abuse, but anxiety. And then we go through this. And, men, we're good for not asking for directions. We'll drive somewhere. And before we had GPS, before we had, maps, go ask somebody. Well, I finally asked somebody, why am I going through this depression and this anxiety? And somebody said, well, all that drug that you did in your life, those things have an effect. And in the book of James, chapter 5:16, it says, confess your faults one to another that you may be healed. So we need to find somebody, a men's program, a pastor, a mentor that we can talk to. So you know what? We find out we're not the only ones going through this. Just because you had a setback doesn't mean it's gonna set you up for your great comeback. And you know what? I had to figure out that, I wasn't the only one going through this, and then I needed information. See, knowledge gives you power that you don't have to go through this anxiety. You don't have to go through all these things that you're going through. That's why this book was written, to tear the cover off and say, you know what? You're not different than anybody else. but you need help. Just because you need help don't mean there's something wrong with you. You just need the knowledge how to fix it. So knowing that, having this anxiety, going to the hospital all the time, knowing that, you know what, it was the lack of knowledge and not knowing that was the battle, and that was how I was able to overcome the depression and the anxiety.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Gomez. Thank you so much. I want to also share that. I just want to just ask you this one question before we have the final roundtable session. If you have the power to change one mental health policy in your country, what would that be? What will it be?
I would say that, you know what, that in schools when kids are growing up, we need to have mentors. I think it should be mandatory that elementary schools and high schools have older men to show young people what do we need to go through, what are we going through, so that way when they get adults, they have some understanding that they're not the only ones that are going through this. We need support, and we need to be able to talk to one another and have a safe place. And I think that's one of the things that we need to do for mental health for our country.
Thank you. So before we wrap it up, I want to bring every other speakers on stage, and so that we can have the final question. Like I asked the other time, I asked that if you have the power to change one mental health policy in your country, in our world today, what would it be? So I'm going to go with Dr. Vene.
Can you say that question again, please?
If you have the power to change, if you have the full power right now to change one mental health policy in your country, what would it be?
Well, I don't think it would be an actual policy, but what I would strive to do is take away the stigma of mental health, because I believe that's why so many people don't reach out for help.
Yes,
is because of the stigma that's attached with those two words, mental health. So as a country or as a society anywhere, I think if we can take away the stigma of that, much like taking away the stigma of PTSD and things of that nature, you take away these stigmas, people feel that now they have an outlet and sources that they can go to without being judged.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, I'm going to move to Dr. Michael Holland.
I agree. I don't think it would be necessarily a policy that I would change, but what I would like to see is I would like to see our communities come together, because with social media and everything online, people have learned to get away from communicating face to face. And when we're worried about how many likes we get, and we're worried about what everyone thinks of us, and there's no consequences to what you say online, you can bully anyone. Let's get the communities together. Let's have gatherings where we all talk and communicate together, so we understand that maybe we don't really have these mental issues. It's just we don't have any way to express ourselves face to face, and we've lost the way to communicate.
Yeah, thank you so much. Can we have Ambassador Pastor Gary?
Yes. Okay. Interesting question. And again, probably wouldn't be policy, but my thought or idea would be to have the handcuffs of restriction removed as it relates to using word of God and the ministry of God's word, because everything that we're talking about today, it begins with a spiritual issue that manifests in the natural, right? And so there are medicines that just can't deal with what's really going on behind the scenes. But if you have a seasoned professional who understands spirituality and how things work in the realm of the spirit, just by bringing that into play as far as bringing help to people that need help, I think it would go a long way. But, as it is now, ministry is handcuffed as it relates to working with medicine and people having issues with mental health.
Yeah, thank you so much. So last question that we want to take, then we wrap it up, is just that what is, I sincerely do know that there is one wish that you wish for, like what is one thing you wish the world understood better about mental health? Is it the fact that the world needs to understand that it's okay to be okay? Because some people still feel that the way life happens to individual, though it differs, but we need to give people that sense of urgency that when you are being heated by tough times, this is what you should do. These are the things you should do. So what will your wish be? What is one thing you wish the world understood better about mental health? Is it suicide? Is it depression? Is it anxiety? And all of this, based on your own experience. Dr. Veni.
That's a tough one. But if I had to try to narrow it down, I would think that it would be if everybody had an understanding that it's part of the natural process. We're all going to go through it at some point.
Sure.
Whether we call it mental health, whether I call it the identity crisis, whether some people call it a nervous breakdown, whether you're going through it internally or externally, we're all going to go through these seasons, as I spoke about before, where you're either going to be going into your storm, you're going to be traversing that storm, coming out of it, or you're going to be able to sit in that quiet place that I call the sacred pause. So it's just a matter of understanding that it's always going to be there. We just have to figure out how to help individuals navigate through it.
Okay. Thank you so much. Dr. Vince Gomez.
And thinking about the question, I think the stigma that happens is, and, I'm saying this from a standpoint of men with mental health, that we're afraid to reach out because we feel that we'll get rejected. I think that, we need to destroy the stigma of, reaching out to one another. Even Jesus, when he was going to the Garden of Gethsemane, he took the 2 disciples with him because he knew that even him was going through great pressure, that he was going to the cross. And I think that it's about not being afraid to have support, that, that we need to emphasize that we need to support one another, and that it's not a weakness, but it's a strength. So that's what I really feel that, that we need to do, and that we need to emphasize that supporting one another and having a safe place to support one another.
Yeah, thank you so much. Dr. Michael Holland.
I think the biggest thing I'd like is for people to understand that we all think different, and it's okay to think different than others, but you need to understand yourself. When you understand yourself, you love yourself, you care about yourself, you can be very stable. And it's not so much addressing the mental illnesses, but it's just making yourself healthy and reducing the mental health in the world, because a lot of the issues we have with mental health are because people let external forces push them down, where if they were stronger inside and they understood themselves, those external forces wouldn't push on them. So understanding yourself and being strong, I think, is what I would like to see.
Well, thank you so much. Let's have Ambassador Pastor Gary Wickertsy.
Dr. San, would you mind repeating the question for me? Because when you were speaking, I had a barking dog who wanted to share his voice, and I didn't catch everything.
Okay, thank you. My question was that how can, okay, let me just put it this way so that you can get the whole concept of my question. It's just that it's more of, what is that one thing that you feel that the world itself misunderstood, that you think you can bring on stage back if you are given the chance to do that?
Ooh, good question.
What is one thing you wish the world understood better about mental health? So let me put it that way too.
I think as it relates to the world understanding the idea of mental health, to not see it as an illness, not see it as an illness, but just as a trapping, if you will, of circumstances in life that create certain emotions, you know, and in the process of those emotions, you have issues as far as understanding things mentally and such. And it doesn't mean that you're sick, but you just lack understanding in some areas. And what I would like to see is, and I believe I mentioned it to you before, is a platform to where men can come together and openly discuss and share different aspects of their experiences, and also be provided with avenues to get help. You know, to know that they have a safe platform where they can come and they can just be vulnerable and receive the help that they need.
Yeah, thank you so much. What a powerful day it's been. And we have heard voices from different nations, different walks of life. And yet one truth connects the dots and among us all, which is we are all human. And we all feel the same way, just in diverse or different areas. So to everyone, to every speaker who poured their heart, I want to say thank you. Your words have planted seed of hope in places we may not even see right now, but they will grow, which I believe. And I want to say to everyone watching us from around the world, thank you for showing up, not just for us, but for yourself, as well as everyone that is watching right now. And because when you choose to listen, to share, and also to check on someone that is closer to you, you become part of the movement. This is a non-stop movement that is breaking the silence around the world. So let's keep this conversation alive beyond today, and let's make it our daily commitment to reach out, to also ask others, are you okay? And to say that, do they really mean it? And just have a conversation just by asking, are you okay? Is just one big step, one tiny step that can actually help others to feel free to speak out. So in one word, I want to ask that, what is that one word you want to leave with the viewers right now? Dr. Veni, just one word.
Vulnerability.
Thank you. Dr. Vince Gomez.
There's hope.
Thank you. Dr. Michael Holland.
Believe.
Thank you so much. Dr. Ambassador Pastor Gary Wilkerson.
Love.
Thank you so much. Together, we are building a world where no one suffers alone. We are building a world where everyone's voices is being heard. And on behalf of the Mental Health Capacity Foundation, I want to appreciate every partner, I Change Nations, Israel Highness King Dr. Clyde Rivers, and everyone, the speakers, and every listener. Thank you so much for standing with us as we continue this global mission. We're still going to have a conversation with each of the speakers. So I'm going to be sharing more details about that on my page and on the website. And I want to also say that to build awareness, to save lives, and to remind the world that every life is worth staying alive for. My name is Dr. Akinyemi Samuel. Thank you so much for joining us. And together, we will keep breaking the silence until every voice around the world is heard. Thank you so much all for joining us. Blessings. And we wrap it up by saying bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Bye-bye.